let you go. There's no way. I'm already still burning. So hold to me close. Now baby, I do what I'm told. Still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1,000,000 life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, 'cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. Cooler than cold, I'm all in. So load up the dice, so heavy. The way that you roll, I'm falling. So I never fall. I'm ready to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1,000,000 life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you surprised, but you already know. You're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. I can't let you go. There's no way. I'm already still burning. So hold to me close. Now baby, I do what I'm told. Still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1,000,000 life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, 'cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. Cooler than cold, I'm all in. So load up the dice, so heavy. The way that you roll, I'm falling. So I never fall. I'm ready to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing.
Well, folks, you know you're in for a real treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another episode of the RecPoker podcast. This is a chats edition, but we also have a forums edition every week, just talking strategy. I'm your host, Rob Washam, filling in today for our leader, Jim Reed, as he is in Vegas auditioning for a spot as a loose cannon in the big game on tour hosted by Poker Stars. So good luck, Jim. In the meantime, you can find me as Radman50 almost everywhere. And we have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with our friends here on the podcast every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube. Join us every week for free, and maybe you can win a prize. Today's guest is David Lappin from the popular Chip Race podcast. The interview was taped earlier, so we won't be bringing it to you live tonight. But stick around and we'll do a live broadcast of our forums edition for all of our YouTube followers. I have to mention that we are brought to you by Running Aces, the official sponsor of the RecPoker podcast. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we depend on support from our sponsors and also from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $22 a month. Do you like talking poker with your friends? For just 75 cents a day, come connect over Zoom with other fun, encouraging poker players, all trying to get better, or sign up for free, because everything starts with a free account at rec.poker, where all you need is to join is an email, address, and a smile. Remember, you can always get your first month of premium for only $5 by using code RecPoker at checkout. Now, they're letting me host the show today, but I'm only one man, and it takes a group, a gang, a village, a crew to make all the magic around here happen. And we call this group of wizards the Wrecking Crew. If you want to learn more about me or the rest of the Wrecking Crew, just go to rec.poker/crew, or you can just listen up because you're about to meet a few of them right now on the air, starting with our producing co-host, Chris Jones.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the Poker Stars home game. And I have two things to say tonight. First of all, I help run our monthly strategy segment called The Deep Dive. And secondly, the reason Jim is missing, as Rob mentioned, is he's trying out for that. And if you have not read the Poker.org article about Jim Reed's adventure in trying out for this, I encourage everyone to go out there and read it because it's a fun read.
And I am John Somsky, also known as Poker Geek MN everywhere. And I try to keep our home games running.
Man, a great job you do of it also, John. Not an easy task. All right, we're going to splice in that interview later. So for now, I'd like to invite our viewers to start typing food bank into the YouTube chat. What the heck?
Conversation I was.
While they're doing that, should I start the home games?
Yeah, first of all, I'm just gonna talk a little bit. Today we're giving away a free month at Red Chip Poker. So we're starting to, we want to be more specific about the kind of prizes we're giving away and make it more impactful for people. And as you know, you don't know who is suffering from food insecurity in your community. So we encourage you to Google food banks near me and give a donation to your local food bank. And let's thank Red Chip Poker for supporting our efforts. Remember, if you're not a lucky winner this week, you can still get a free week of Red Chip Poker by going to rec.poker resources and clicking on the Learning Partners link. Okay, let's go to John Somsky and ask him to unmute, get his pronunciation skills engaged, and give us a rundown of our home game winners for the past week.
Well, I thought the fewer pronunciation skills I have, the more entertainment value it had. So I'm conflicted here. But on October 28th, Beat Chip Charles Allen got his second nightly victory of the year. Carl0621, Carl Anderson, got his third nightly victory for the year. PSO Kunzerad got his or her first nightly victory for the year. LL Tahoe got his or her 5th nightly victory for the year. Keck Geek, and that's Keck Geek Senior for those keeping track, got his 6th nightly victory for the year. Jay Sedum, Jeff S. got his 12th nightly victory for the year. And then on October 30th, Gopher Boy TJM Taylor got his 4th daily mixed practice event victory for the year.
Wow.
Bone Crusher 14, Marcel Dusick got his 4th international victory for the year. And then PSO Kunzerad got his or her first international victory of the year. And then Binkley Eric Jin won the LPP event for the first time this year. So he can contact info at rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
All right. Way to go, Eric.
Yeah.
One of our Wrecking Crew members. Right. Find him on the Wrecking Crew page. All right. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to put their names or to type in food bank in the YouTube chat. Do we have any? We
have very the entries are slim right now.
Yeah, normally people are got a lot more time to figure out what they're going to do and to.
It's all. I blame David Lappin. We just blame David Lappin.
Exactly.
He's the scapegoat for everything.
Why does he have to live in?
I don't know. And why can't he stay up till 2 a.m? What's wrong with this guy?
All right. Look what Dara and Barry did. I mean, both of them. They were there for the whole episode live.
I know. Some people have commitment, and some people are David Lappin.
I'm sure he's gonna love that. So let's give him a little bit more time. Is there any comments about how horrible we're doing today, or
don't let our democracy become a complete dumpster fire by voting?
I don't know where. Now we're getting sound coming in somehow.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my. I was going to the YouTube, and I don't have the paid for version.
Oh,
yeah,
so
I
gotta get ads all the time.
Right. So I'm getting ads. So let's see. We got Hubert in there. That's about it, isn't it?
Yep.
Looks like Hubert's going to win a free month of
well, he says he's already won twice. He wants someone else to win. So you know what? We're gonna hold on to this one. We're gonna hold on to this prize, and maybe we'll do two in the following week or something. Oh, there's half the entry. Eric answered has the word food in the
right.
Chat.
He must want a free month of Red Chip Poker.
He wants half a month.
Well, there you go. Well, remember, you can get a free week. All right.
Type bank. Although, since he's got the basically the most effort, I think we'll award it to Eric this month.
Okay, we can do that.
All right.
We can do that. So, Eric, send an email to info@rec.poker and let us know when you want us to activate your free month at Red Chip Poker.
Awesome.
Now, this has been an amazing episode so far. The interview with Dave Lappin was amazing because Dave
because he threw us off our game.
Dave and Jim have quite a, I guess they're very aggressive together. They're always competing. I mean, they competed at the Irish Poker Open where they had a karaoke battle, and there's just a lot of history there. So I'm looking really forward to listening to that interview.
Yeah, and they're going to be roommates right now in Vegas. So if they don't kill each other, will probably be some good stories out of that.
Well, if they're roommates in Vegas right now, why couldn't they just be here?
I don't know. I don't know. Again, who's
they might be playing poker. Who knows?
Could be.
All right. If there's nothing else, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Chats Edition. But I encourage the YouTube followers to stick around for a live recording of the Forums podcast coming right up next. So I'd like to thank the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack and Casino, our guest David Lappin, our Wrecking Crew members, John, Chris, and I guess me, our YouTube chatters, and the audience. We'll see you next week on the RecPoker podcast.
All right. Away we go. All right.
Boy, are we good.
Yep. That was.
I thought you were actually Jim there when you were doing the drums.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's a pretty good impression.
Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do it. So are we still live on YouTube?
We sure are.
Nice. Everybody gets to see the backstage of what goes on here to make all the magic happen here on the podcast. So, we're going to do a Forums podcast now.
Yep.
And so if we're ready, we're just going to go right into it. I'll run the music and we'll get started.
Great.
Well, folks, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another episode of the RecPoker podcast. This is the Forums edition, where we talk strategy based on posts from our forums or Discord server. We also have a chats edition where we interview poker personalities live on YouTube every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. And I'm your host, Rob Washam, and you can find me as Rabman50 almost everywhere. And we have the best freaking job in the world, talking poker with our friends here on the podcast. I have to mention that we're brought to you by Running Aces, the official sponsor of the RecPoker podcast. And most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we depend on support from our sponsors and also from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $22 a month. Do you like talking poker with your friends? For just 75 cents a day, come connect over Zoom with other fun, encouraging poker players, all trying to get better, or sign up for free because everything starts with a free account at rec.poker, where all you need to join is an email address and a smile. But remember, you can always get your first month of premium for only $5 using code RecPoker at checkout. Now they're letting me host the show today, but I'm only one man, and it takes a group, a gang, a village, a crew to make all the magic happen around here. And we call this crew a group of wizards, the Wrecking Crew. And if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the Wrecking Crew, just go to rec.poker/crew, or you can listen up because you're about to meet a few of them right now on the air, starting with producing co-host Chris Jones.
I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the PokerStars home game, and I help run our monthly strategy segment called The Deep Dive.
And I'm John Somsky, also known as Poker Geek MN, and I help organize our home games.
Fantastic. Good to have you guys on board today. And I think we talked a little earlier about a post on our Discord server. We have quite a robust server, a lot of people making a lot of comments, talking a lot of strategy. You need to come, you need to join that Discord server because there's so much going on there and so much interaction with all the other amazing wizards that we call RecPoker. So we chose one today that happened to be posted by our own Chris Jones. And so I'm going to let him get us started with the conversation, and we'll see where it leads.
Great. Yeah, so this is I think this was last Sunday. It might have been 2 Sundays ago. I can't remember. But a pretty recent tournament. This is the Sunday long car. They run 2 of those on ACR. We're running pretty well. We're running pretty deep in this. I think at this point this is 3 tables left. I think there's about 20 people left in this tournament, and started with, several thousand. So we're getting down to some big spots here, and we've got a decent stack. We've got about 44 bigs in this spot, and there's about, I think, 12,000 for first place. So we'd like to keep going in this tournament, and we run into a hand which I think is an interesting spot. If I kind of remember the rest of the field, we're in I think we're definitely in the top half of the chip stacks. We're not in the there's a couple of like really big chip stacks, like a couple of like 100 big blind chip stacks, and we're probably in like 5th or 6th out of about 21 left. And at our table, we're fairly healthy. There's only, actually, I'm just looking at this. We cover everybody at our table. So, including the player, the main villain in this hand. So the main villain is in the hijack. And they open off of a min open off of a 26 big blind stack. So they put 2 big blinds out there from the hijack, and we are on the button again as the chip leader of this table with Jack 10 of hearts, and we elect to flat this one. I know this is a spot where we probably can 3-bet, and probably with the ICM implications and the chip lead, probably want to 3-bet quite a bit of the time. But I like the absolute position of this hand, and I like the very, Jack 10 suited is one of those like really nice, clean, playable hands, especially in position. So I think it's okay to flat this as well sometimes, but I'm open to criticism of that. But I'm anyway, so I do flat this. Both blinds fold, and we go to a flop. Do we want to talk about the pre-flop stuff first?
Yeah, I think we can. I think that's a good place to start. Yeah, I like 3-betting Jack 10 suited, but now let's look at the circumstances that we have. The guy that opened has only 26 big blinds. So is Jack 10 suited the kind of hand that you want to 3-bet and then call it jam from a 26 big blind stack?
I certainly don't.
I wouldn't either. And like you said, Jack 10 suited is a very playable hand. So there's a lot of opportunity on the flop, and especially in position, to be able to realize the equity of your hand. So I definitely, if let's say we were deeper, let's say everybody was in the 50-60, we weren't close to the money or anything like that. Yeah, then Jack 10 suited becomes a really fun 3-bet pre-flop. Trying to take it down right there. But in this particular spot with ICM considerations and the stack sizes that you're up against, I like a call.
And I think a lot of the sims, a lot of the wizards, a lot of the ICM experts will say this is a really good hand to do a small 3-bet with. You can do like a 4.5 to 5 big blind 3-bet in this spot, and really trust that a player should know that they can't be jamming light here very often, and we often take it down. And so I think there is a real case for 3-betting this as well, and especially that kind of small 3-bet sizing. But I think it's an okay one to flat. And I think if we're going to find flats here, this is the exact kind of hand I think that we want to find some flats with. But, we might be reducing to sort of no flats. So anyway, we do flat, and we get the folds from the blinds, which is also a really nice result for us because now we're heads up in position. And actually, I'm just noticing, I think I said Jack 10 of hearts. So I have Jack 10 of diamonds, which actually slightly comes into play with this. So we go to the flop, and the flop is ace of spades, queen of diamonds, 4 of spades. So 2 spades, 1 diamond. We have the backdoor diamonds. We've got a gut shot, to the straight, and our opponent leads out small. Leads out for about 1.5 big blinds into us. Thoughts?
Well, that's pretty small. I don't know that I would raise. I think I call here. Again, when we look at ICM spots like this, where we have a potential, we're in the money already, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
in the
so
money.
we have a potential to ladder up. When we look at ICM spots like this, we have this thing called where everything is downgraded, right? So if we were to raise in a normal situation, in a ICM situation, we would just call. So I think a call is definitely warranted here.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree, and I do call. I think this is a pretty simple. They actually shouldn't be leading a ton here, and when they do lead and they lead so small, it's a pretty easy play in position when we've got a fairly playable hand. It's one that can have some interesting turn card bluff spots too, especially if they bet this as a C bet and then check the turn on certain cards. We can really go after that with our position, but we just elect to call this. And the turn is I think, gin card, but it could not be. It is the King of Spades. So the board is now Ace of Spades, King of Spades, Four of Spades, Queen of Diamonds. So we have we have turned the straight, but there is a flush on board potentially. And in this spot now, our villain, after having bet 1.5 big blinds on the flop, now bets 2.5 big blinds on this turn. And we have a very good hand, but we are also, somewhat vulnerable, maybe, to sort of, a fourth spade or some of those kinds of things. Thoughts about your approach here? This is where I would say when I posted this, I was kind of curious about what people's response was given this small bet and how they would react. And actually the responses in Discord were varied here on this turn.
I look at this, one thing we've been talking about lately too is ranging your opponents, right? So one of the things you want to look at is if the opponent has a flush right now, what flush could it be?
Right.
Is it Queen Jack of Spades,
Mm-hmm.
Queen 9 of Spades, Queen 10 of Spades, Jack 10 of Spades? Those are the only ones, and I'm assuming that my opponent probably doesn't have those types of hands very often.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would assume my opponent has some sort of an ace, some sort of a king queen, an ace queen, an ace king, something like that. Probably not ace queen because he might have gone a little bit bigger in his bet sizing with top two pair on the flop. But I would say that he's probably got some sort of ace high hand. Maybe he's got top pair type hand. I'm not too worried about him having a flush at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So in reality, you have the nuts right now.
Yes. No,
Nobody can have a better hand unless they have a flush.
That was my read here, that I am not scared of this. The only thing I think I'm scared of here is a fourth spade. Like, I think that they could have a decent number of holdings like that have an ace and also have a spade on board with it, or a king that has a spade on board. The queen on this board is not a spade, so they could potentially have a hand like two. They could have like a two pair hand, like ace king or ace queen or king queen with the queen of spades. That would be a pretty bummer of a result on the four spade. But that is the only reason I could see to maybe make a raise. Plus, if a fourth spade come and they don't have a spade, I'm not going to get paid much more on this hand.
Right.
So if I do just sort of flat this, I'm really hoping to not see a fourth spade on the river. But I think there's also a lot of benefit to flatting here. They have opened and bet twice now. And I don't necessarily want to clear out some of their bluffs in this spot. I don't want to scare away the ace X that you're kind of speaking of. And I think a raise here is very strong. And so I think calling is that I did ultimately call. I think that is my preferred action to take in this spot, but I am open to the idea of it's kind of a terrible event if we call and a fourth spade comes on the river.
Yeah, I think I like calling as well, because they're unlikely to call you with worse. With the three spades on board, and now you're flipping to take the aggression away from the previous aggressor, that just looks so strong that unless they have either a spade or a draw to the nut flush, with that, or already have a flush, they're unlikely to put more money in the pot unless they've already got the flush, in which case you're putting the money in bad.
Bad. Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, I like what John said there. It seems to me that the worst thing you could do is raise and have somebody with ace 10 with the 10 of spades or ace 9 with the 9 of spades to actually fold.
Right.
Because there's so many hands that he could be doing this with, especially with his small bet sizing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we know that in ICM you're going to bet smaller anyway, but these bet sizes are very small. So he's definitely, if he was trying to chase you away, I think he would be betting a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it seems like he has a type of hand where he's expecting to get value from a worse hand.
Yep.
And so by raising, you're saying, hey, I don't have a worse hand. I have a better hand. So, and then they don't have a big enough hand that they're going to be able to call a raise. So I love that all here.
Yep.
I think that's the only way you're going to get any more money out of this. And again, what are the odds of you getting a spade there? And again, a spade is not necessarily going to give him the better hand, but it's going to shut down all the action.
Yeah, you're not going to get any more
Right.
action if they don't have a spade. And if they do bet when that fourth spade comes, then I'm like, I think I might have to fold this even at that point. However, we call and it's the 5 of hearts. So I think we still really consider ourselves to have the nuts in this spot. Like I can't see us. I mean, there's a few flushes out there, but if they have them, nice job, and you're gonna get paid here. They lead now into a pot of there's 56,000 in the pot, so that's I'm forgetting what level this was. It was a 4K big blind. So there's 14 big blinds in the pot.
Yeah.
They lead like 3.5 big blinds. So they went 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 big blinds, and and they've got probably 18 or so behind. What's your and
Wow.
we cover them. So what's your play here?
Well, I definitely think we want to raise here. I think we want to try to get some more value. The question is, what size?
Yeah,
right?
what's that?
Isn't
That's the big question, right?
that's a big question. Now typically post flop sizing for me is usually 2.5, maybe almost 3 times whatever the bet was, unless it's one of those rare situations where you want to overbet the pot
Mm-hmm.
to really polarize yourself. But when you do that, you're going to get many more folds. And so you're in a position here, and especially at this stage of the game and the stack sizes involved, where you really want to try to eke a little bit more value out of your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to give them the opportunity to fold. So even though it's stronger, smaller bet is actually stronger because you have less um, you have less bluffs in your range.
Right.
I think though that you don't want to go that, the big bet size here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I like the sizing that you used. Not quite 3,
Yep.
like 2.5 or so is where you went, and I like that. I like that bet sizing.
Yeah, I went just under kind of 3x hit their bet to about nine big blinds off their 3.5 open. And this was another decision, including our own Taylor Moss. He writes, River I'd jam. It looks like you went smaller here, but that looks way stronger in my opinion. I'd have to have my bluffs go bigger, so I'm going to go bigger with value too. So that's, his take is that I really just should have just jammed this because it then covers my bluffs a little as well. I was thinking like I'm really targeting a hand like ace queen or king queen here, and I felt like a hand like that is not going to call a jam but might call this bet. But I don't know, but maybe we miss out. Maybe there's just some players who can't let go of an ace here. The ace 10 we were talking about, and they're just going to call off no matter how big you make it. So I don't know what the right sizing is here.
You do have stronger hands. I mean, you could have had a flush, right? You could have just as easily had the jack and 10 of spades as opposed to jack 10 of diamonds. So I agree with Taylor that you need to have something that you are going to play as strong as you would your big bluffs. I don't think this hand needs to be it. And I think you are still by doing the sizing you did, you are still likely to get called by worse. 2 pairs still going to call you. Even aces might still call you there. Because it looks like you're maybe just trying to take it away on the river here, thinking that maybe they were on the 4 flush, or you want to pretend like you have the flush now, but you haven't really played it like that. So I like the way the bet size there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we talk a lot about balancing your range. You're making sure that the actions that you take in this particular spot are actions you would take with a variety of hands. And I understand that. I understand that in the metagame or the overall game that you're playing, but here it's just one hand. We're playing this one hand at this one time that we're trying to get some value from. So I don't want to chase him away. I want to get a little bit more value.
Yep.
And if he has a hand that he felt he could call an all in, he would definitely call this, and he might actually raise. If he had one of those types of hands, he might think that you're just full of crap and he's got an ace king and he's going to go for it.
Right.
So I think you're giving him an opportunity to make a bigger mistake by raising when you raise a small amount, whereas he doesn't have an opportunity to make a mistake if you go all in. He's going to play perfectly.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, thanks for those thoughts. Because this was a hand that I was never really in question about what whether I was going to win. I mean, I thought, there's like a 2% chance that I'm going to lose this hand, and that's going to stink. But for the most part, I knew I was winning this the whole way. But it was one of those hands where I was like, I am not sure how to get the most out of it. So anyway, we go to this 9 sizing, and our villain folds. So I don't think we were getting paid by much at all. Like, I think this is probably just a lone ace or maybe a really sticky king that just was trying to win it in the end, but then just gave up once they got raised. But it's an interesting spot to think about how we approach these sizings and how we kind of get paid when we have value.
Right. Yes, it really points out how important it is to understand the ranges that your opponent is playing at that moment in time. I mean, you really need to, we've been talking about this a lot lately in some of our other discussions too, where ranges are so important to consider whenever you're making these bets. You can look at a GTO solve and it'll tell you that 50% of the time you bet this, 50% of the time you bet that, but that's based on a very determined range, a GTO range. It's a GTO range against a GTO range. And is that really what the players that you're playing against are actually really playing? I mean, how close to GTO ranges are people really playing?
Right.
So understanding that and using that as a way of determining how you're going to progress in the hand, I think is very important.
This player's username was GTO bot, so maybe they were playing GTO.
You think maybe they had RTA going there?
I don't know. I don't think that was necessarily RTA approved. I mean, if you had an RTA, I don't know that you're. Maybe you are doing the 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 sizing. I don't know. Maybe you are, but it was an interesting hand. So yeah, we ended up taking it down. That was a nice boon to our stack. But unfortunately, we didn't go super deep in this. I think we went out about 13th or something. Couple of flips gone the wrong way there, but this hand kind of put us in position to make a run at this. So it was a good hand to look at and review.
So was there any other comments in the Discord that caught your attention?
A couple people were really advocating for raising the turn. I think this is the maybe the more interesting point. So LFCYNWA 1982 writes, I'm more inclined to raise the turn. That decision is multifaceted. For a bit of protection, we unblock all of the continues that we beat, that we can still get value from, and to get more value in case a scary river card and kills our action. And then, DFS Brett says, I agree. I would be raising the turn as well. But I don't know. I kind of like these kind of spots are some of the trickiest in poker. When we know there's kind of a whole slew of death cards that we're trying to avoid, and that's maybe where we're really tempted to raise. But I do think that there's a ton of value. I think if I raise in this hand, based on the action that took place here, I don't think I get that river bet out of them. I think they just fold, and I think the hand's over. So, I think by calling here, I make an additional 4 big blinds. Which doesn't sound like a ton, but that's a lot when we're down into the thick of it in these tournaments. When the average stack is in that kind of 20 to 25 range, like 4 big blinds is a lot. So that's a big deal. And I think I would probably continue to play it that way.
And I like the comment about potential raise on the turn, because we've talked about this in the past too, where on the turn people still have hope.
Right.
So you could raise on the turn, and maybe that ace with the 10 of spades gives you a call, because not only do they have top pair, but they have the back, they have the backdoor flush draw. So yeah, in that particular case, you could do that. Plus, the other side of that is if a spade does show up, you're either now behind, or you're not going to get any action on the river.
Yep.
If you're not. So yeah, I can see that that it wouldn't necessarily be a mistake to raise the turn.
No, I think this is one of those really thin line spots where both you could really argue both approaches here. I think the only thing that would be just brutal is folding.
Yeah. So you'd see in a GTO solve, you'd see a box with Jack 10 in it, Jack 10 suited, and it would have 50% of one color and 50% of another color.
Yeah.
And you just flip a coin to decide how you're going to approach it, whether you're going to call or raise.
Or you kind of get an estimate of how likely your opponent is in this spot to have bluffs and continue with them, because I think that's the case for calling, or continue with some of their weaker hands to represent them as stronger. And if they're more likely to be chasing that spade or chasing that piece, and we think we can get value now on the turn, that's maybe the opponent we target with the raise here.
Right. Very good. All right. Any other comments on this excellently played hand by Mr. Jones?
See if there's anything on. Nope. No comments in YouTube. So I think we're good to go.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll wrap up this edition of the Forums edition. And we're going to say thanks to Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, our Wrecking Crew members, John and Chris, and you, the YouTube audience. And we'll see you next week on the RecPoker Podcast.